You are listening to Charlotte Real Estate Talk with Pridemore Properties.
Hello, Scott Pridemore here with Mike Hagee, Pridemore Properties, for another episode of Charlotte Real Estate Talk. Today we welcome John Shaw with Pridemore Properties, Huntersville. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
Hey, Scott, Mike, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. I can tell you, and I'm sure Mike would agree, when Mike, you have more awareness than I do around the 77 project and sort of various happenings in Huntersville area. But to go a step above and beyond, I would say that John has a master's in knowledge, in my opinion. He may not feel that way about his understanding of transportation and what's happening in Huntersville in relation to I-77. So, John, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about the 77 project and the tolls and the traffic, and the want for this to be done and have a road without construction.
Absolutely. I think anyone who lives in the Lake Norman area, drives I-77, is their Christmas wish is to have all that construction done, whether the lanes are toll or whether they're free, just no more construction. And I'm definitely in that boat too. Unfortunately, we had some delayed news that they were officially supposed to finish or open the toll lanes this January, and it looks like probably the end of the first quarter of 2019. And they'll finish the whole entire project. They pushed that back to third to fourth quarter of 2019. So just a few more months. Hopefully we'll get through it without too many more accidents or pop tires, things like that.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, John, every day you being in the office, you're so diligent. You've taken on so many different things to really understand the process of the town and the projects and the growth, meeting with town officials, going to committee meetings, really entrenching yourself in a knowledge base to understand and immerse yourself in the community. So I applaud you from seeing that from a day-to-day perspective. I think that's awesome. And I was curious for our audience, could you go back in time and just kind of share, where did it first pique the interest of getting into real estate?
It's a great question, Mike. So my wife and I moved up to Huntersville in 2007. We lived in South Florida, loved it, dated, newly married, and then wanted to have a family. And South Florida just wasn't, we'd rather be closer to family. And so we looked all over the Southeast to move closer to my wife's family. Charlotte just moved away up the charts. We came up to do a recon visit the city. We loved it. It had so much energy and it wasn't overwhelming. Everyone was friendly. Everyone was so friendly that we literally thought we were on Candid Camera Punk'd. Like, we were looking for Ashton Kutcher. Like, why is everyone so nice? We came up just to check it out, see if we wanted to move here, and we ended up buying a house. We did new construction, and 9-10 months later, we made it our home.
Wow.
And Huntersville was on the list because in 2004 or 5, it was voted a top 50 town under 30,000 or 50,000, something like that. So the word kind of was getting out about Huntersville, 10, 15 years ago. And that's what drew us here.
It wasn't on NerdWallet, was it? That's the one I always think about with the reports. I'm like, I think NerdWallet, how did they even come to be? Do you know? Have you seen that one?
Yes. I read a review of something in Huntersville or the area probably earlier this week. And I was like, am I a nerd? I think
that's funny.
Yes, I am.
I just want to say, I believe that you're partly the amount of information that you have that you're able to share with your buyer and seller clients relating to the Lake Norman area, Huntersville, North Charlotte, and I'll even say, in town Charlotte, your knowledge is there. I think that has played a role with you being one of our top producers for 2018. I want to say congratulations for your work.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thanks. And then you, Scott, you and Mike give so much support. You make it not only fun, but you give an energy to make us be better. And I want to thank you guys for that. It's a great energy, a great vibe working with you, and I look forward to more success in the future.
Well, thanks, John. Well, you're definitely you are our people, and we just very much appreciate everything you've done for the company. But see how you serve your clients, and you're always in the office. You're always working on something. If it's not only the transactional piece, but also just staying in front of your clients, being of service to them after the transaction, which is incredibly important in our business, being that so much of our business does come from repeat and referral business. And you've done a really good job at positioning yourself as the fiduciary, as the trusted real estate advisor for your people. So congratulations on that. And let's get into some discussion around that you have also an expertise around community events. You're always organizing something for your neighborhood to keep them aware of either tax revaluation or something regarding real estate values or of the like. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you came to be so good at organizing community events and being in front of folks that have questions that you can answer?
Yeah, absolutely. So my life before real estate was in event marketing. And I worked for a great company in South Florida. My wife and I moved up here and started my own shop. And that company became my first and favorite client. We did a lot of business together. And my experience and how I became what I like to think I'm pretty good at events is that's what I did. I would travel the country as a tour manager, setting up the events, and then being a coordinator, and then being a account director, and then having my own company. So doing events is like second nature, and it's a way just to connect and engage with people that's different. So when I bring that into real estate, it's not something that is seen in the space. And I like to do a lot of it for my own community, for the neighborhood, for the town of Huntersville. And Pridemore Property does a great job of sponsoring those events and then helping me sponsor the events in my neighborhood. And I like getting to meet everyone is great, and learning firsthand how everyone feels about the neighborhood, and watching our kids splash in a pool and do all that fun stuff that makes the neighborhood I live in so special. And part of it is, I feel selfish because I'm like, me doing this will make our neighborhood better. I like to think so that
sure.
It adds just another element of why it's cool to live there. And then in the town of Huntersville, I like being able to see neighbors or someone that maybe is from the pizza shop where my kids love to go. And, oh, hey, and as you know, my oldest daughter, she kind of likes to take control when we're at events. And so the connection to community and giving back. And it's also a way to have a conversation with someone that in our daily lives, sometimes we just get so busy and we want to talk to someone, but we don't, nobody knocks on doors anymore to say hello. It's always a text or a phone call or an email. And at these events, that happens. So at least I'm able to see someone and talk to them and give them a few minutes of just engagement.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Love to hear that. And really, I agree that is an area that we don't see that many people in real estate doing. That a lot of them are just fully into technology and social media and not really connecting,
right. And
to
those
use
are
a
great.
pun, but really connecting with their friends, their neighbors, their clients. Yeah.
So recently, I'd like to do a thing called like a pop by. I'll stop by a client or a friend and just give a little gift of just appreciation for our relationship, for any referrals they've given me, just to say hello, see, maybe they've had a little one recently, and see how much the daughter or son is growing. And so recently I gave out some ice scrapers. And I have some clients that are from New Jersey. And the one I have is a North Carolina ice scraper, like a little small one in your hand. And the New Jersey clients, yes. He was like, oh, that's nice. Come here. He walked me out to his car, and his had like a brush on it and a squeegee to get a satellite radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, that's like a Crocodile Dundee. That's no knife.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a scraper, but it's fun. And then I got a photo from another client, this morning, or I think maybe it was yesterday, but they had a little ice, and they took a picture of them using the ice scraper I gave them just like a week ago. And I was like, that's great. I'm glad it was good.
Yeah, I'm sure they realize, and I know you do too, it's not about the ice scraper. It's the fact that you took the time to stop by, to interact with them, to check in. Too many times I hear if I get a referral from a past client, I'll ask them how their previous prior to having ever met them, I'll ask them, I'll say, how did you come to get my name? And they'll tell me it was so-and-so that referred them. And I'll ask them to share an experience about their past real estate transaction. And too many times I hear folks say, as soon as the deal closed, I never heard from my agent. And I just cringe to think about how many people that are out there that when you get to the finish line, that is literally what happens is the folks don't follow up and check in with people. So I'd love to hear that that's what you do. And that's something that we, as a company, that we preach how important it is to stay in contact with our clients, and really our clients become our friends, and we a member of the family, so to speak. So good work. I'd love to hear it.
Well, thank you. So my wife and I moved up here from South Florida, and we lived in South Beach. It was really a lot of fun. There was a lot of people. It was very cool, but we knew nobody. We had thousands of neighbors, high rises everywhere within a 6-block radius. We knew like 2 people, and there was no connection. And we wanted that. We wanted somewhere where our kids could grow up and play in the yard, play in the street, know the neighbors. And we definitely found that in Huntersville. So I was doing event marketing, and I was finding I wasn't as connected as I wanted to be, because my clients were in Fort Lauderdale, they were in New York, they were in Denver, they were in San Francisco, all over. So the person I work closest with, talked to her, 20 times a day, and Skyping. She lived in Denver. And then the next 2 people, one was in New York and Fort Lauderdale. And I'm like, I could tell them about the pothole on the road, to the grocery store. They would have no idea what I was talking about. They wouldn't know anything going on about the schools where I live and how awesome Charlotte is. There was just no connection. And my wife had started real estate. She worked for a new home builder. And she would tell me, she'd been doing it, about a year or so. And she was telling me these great stories about she helped someone buy their first house. And you guys know, it's an amazing feeling seeing someone. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I love telling this story because I get all that energy inside of me of why I love doing this. There's this feeling when someone buys their home for the first time, and she was working right after the recession, so she was helping people that got totally wrecked get into another home, something they never thought they'd do again. Or the grandparents moving closer to grandkids, and the energy and the vibrance that grandkids give to grandparents. And she's telling me all these stories as at the dinner table as we're lying in bed together, and I'm just like, I want that. That's awesome. I want to do that. And I said, hey, do you think that's something I could do? And she's like, I think you could do it, and you'd be really good at it. And so we put a plan into motion, and that's kind of how I started. It was all thanks to my wonderful wife.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. And that brings us to another area of specialized knowledge that you bring to your clients is new construction. And you talk to us a little bit about the process as a realtor and representing a buyer purchasing new construction.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great topic because, buying a house in general and working with an agent, it can be confusing. And when you go to new construction, there's an agent there, and they're great. They know a lot about the house. They know what's going on in that neighborhood. But one thing I like buyers to know is that they will help you. They'll be kind and courteous, and they will show you everything about the contract, but they represent the builder. So as much as they want you to be happy at the end of the day, they're going to do a great job, but you probably will want to have representation. Somebody who's looking out for you, who is committed to you, has a fiduciary commitment to you. And I make sure, when I talk to my clients and I have a client meeting with them, kind of getting to know them, make sure they like me, I like them, we're a good fit. We communicate well together. And I like to think of it like a partnership. So it's not me, just taking someone in my car. Like, we are both investing time and energy, and they're investing a heck of a lot of money to buy a house. I want to make sure they have all the information they need. They're comfortable to make the best decision that they can make. And new construction is fantastic because it's new, it's shiny. The warranties are on the HVAC system, on the roof. Everything's new. It's fantastic. But it's not perfect. Humans make houses. So, the process may be delayed. There may be weather issues that slows construction. So when you are building a house, there may be delays versus buying an existing home. There's not really delays based on weather. So I like to make sure my buyer clients know that. And in Huntersville is a boom right now with new construction. I mean, a lot to be said, and highly recommended that you have an agent go with you if you're looking at new construction. And agents out there, make sure you sit down with your clients and tell them how the process works. That if you go to new construction and you meet with that agent without telling them you're represented, that could cause problems with you if you move forward with that house. So agents, make sure you have that conversation. You give them a stack of business cards. Anytime you're in new construction, you let them know I'm your agent, or that you have that.
I found that the builder representatives would much rather have an agent involved in the transaction
Hands
than not.
down. Agreed.
I've heard that from many builder reps through the years.
Yeah.
So just by, I think, the sheer fact of having the buyer, there's no question, they understand that they are being fully represented, and they're able to ask. The buyers are able to get answers quickly from someone that they already know and trust. That's not to say they wouldn't trust a builder rep, but if someone is working in the capacity of an agent, the buyer more often than not is going to have more comfort around asking questions that they may feel may not, maybe stupid questions in their mind, or very, very important questions that they can get answered, and make the process go smoother. So, and Mike, there's another community in Huntersville that you have, that you like, that you're wanting to sort of bring your buyers to. What's the name of the community that we're referring to?
Yeah, so there's a great community, and it's coming online this upcoming year for 400 homes, called Walden. It's a Taylor Morrison and JP Orleans community. So great amenity center, and new construction is fantastic. One thing, John, to echo what you mentioned, I mean, one thing for people to keep in mind, it's the same cost whether you have an agent or not. And so you might as well have representation from someone that can help you through the process. And when things get, if things were to get murky or a situation were to go awry, you've got to trust a professional on your side representing you throughout the process. And that's come up a time or two in our careers. So by having someone there, we can all agree that it's better to have someone in your corner.
Definitely. So, so just one more thing I wanted to point out, John, is, you're doing such great work in the community, and you're really good at dialing into staying sharp and training and reading publications relating to real estate and not necessarily about real estate. And I just wanted to put that out there, because in case any of your buyer or seller clients are listening, I think they can be proud in having you as their representative. And with that, I'll just want to say thank you for joining us today, John.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was it was a real pleasure. And before we go, so I'm very excited to be on your podcast. Very exciting for me. So I reached out to call my brothers, and they Couldn't pick up, of course. That's what brothers do. You got exciting news. Yeah, you got a voicemail. So then I go to call my parents, and my dad picks up. I was like, Dad, I'm very excited. I'm going to be on a podcast. And he's like, what the heck's a podcast? I'm like, my dad's 83. So I'm like, all right, he doesn't really know what a podcast is. I'm like, it's kind of like being on the radio. I'm going to be on the radio. And there's like a slight pause, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, you know what a podcast is? He's like, no, I always knew you had a face for radio. So I'm still getting roasted by my dad.
Oh, that's so good.
3 years old.
I love that.
John, it's an honor to work with you and just to see the work that you do in the community and serving your buyer and seller clients. I've seen firsthand. And so it's just an honor to work with you and have you on the team. And we're so grateful that you could join us in here today.
Thanks again, guys. It's been exciting. I hope to be on another one.
Fantastic, without a doubt. So with that, we'd like to thank John Shaw of Pridemore Properties, Huntersville. I'm Scott Pridemore, along with Mike Hagee, for another episode of Charlotte Real Estate Talk. Thank you for joining us.
Listen, download our podcast, or find out more about Charlotte Real Estate at pridemoreproperties.com.